to tonight's December 5th Town Council meeting. Prayer, Councilor Finger.
Dear Lord, my prayer tonight is for the families and the patients of the people who are going through cancer. Being close to it myself right now, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of thought about what happens, and we want Jesus to give us all the right prayers to make sure that we do honor our families and making sure that people go through this, especially during the holiday season, with as much ease as possible. And please, Lord, look out for everybody throughout the holiday season. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sheila, roll call, please.
Councilor Finger.
Here.
Councilor Hopkins.
Here.
Councilor Ludwig.
Here.
Councilor Mangini.
Here.
Councilor Nelson.
Here.
Councilor Pisner.
Here.
Councilor Santinella.
Here.
Councilor Ungary is absent. Deputy Mayor Sakala.
Here.
Mayor Crisati.
Here.
Councilor Despard is absent. That's 9 members present and 2 absent.
Item 4, fire evacuation. In the event of a fire, there are exits in the back of the chambers, and to my left in the audience is right. Exit through the doors and go downstairs into the parking lot. Item 5, minutes of preceding meetings. The regular meeting, November 14th. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilor Mangini and a second by Councilor Nelson. Are there any corrections or changes? Councilor or Deputy Mayor Sakala.
Thanks. Just a little friendly one. The roll call does indicate on the regular meeting that Jim Talberg, the town attorney, was present. I believe it was just Mark Serrato. So if we could just make that amendment, please, if somebody wants to second it.
Second the amendment by Councilor Finger. All in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. By a show of hands, all in favor of the minutes for November, okay, for this, is there a motion to approve now the minutes of November 14th?
Motion to approve.
Councilor Pisner. And a
Second.
second, Councilor Hopkins. Are there any other changes? Okay, by a show of hands, all in favor? Unanimous? Thank you. Okay, item number 6, special guest, Rob Battaglia, ClearGov presentation.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. While Rob is entering, who is our guest tonight, I just wanted to preface this with saying that over the course of the last 18 months, as municipalities, state governments, counties really across the country have received all of these ARPA dollars, there's been an added emphasis on how to track those dollars, how to be accountable to the taxpayers, how people can continue to track how those dollars are being spent and actually have input into doing it. One of the products that a lot of communities in Connecticut and elsewhere are using is a couple of new products through ClearGov. And we brought this through the General Government and Finance Committee, who made the recommendation that a brief presentation be given to the entire council so that you could see some of the innovations that might be possible for our budgeting process in terms of transparency, capital projects, and how that relates out to the constituents that we serve. So it's my pleasure to introduce Rob Battaglia, who we actually were able to meet in person and discuss this a little bit at the CCM conference last month. And he's here to give you a very brief overview about what this would look like for Enfield and also how other communities are using it.
Okay, thank you and welcome, Rob.
Well, thank you, Alan, for the introduction, and good evening to the council. Thank you for allowing me to present. Just to confirm, can everybody hear me okay, the audio? Yes. And can you all see my screen? Yes. Excellent. So as Alan mentioned, our company ClearGov, we are a cloud-based software company that a handful of communities throughout the state of Connecticut are using around things like the annual budget process, your ongoing capital improvement multi-year planning, and in terms of a timely use case, a lot of communities are using our solutions for ARPA project tracking and reporting and communication purposes. We work with over 25 communities in the state of Connecticut, including a handful of towns nearby to the town of Enfield. We've also been vetted by the Capital Region Council of Governments. I understand that's the COG that Enfield is a part of. They have also recommended our budgeting solution to all of their members. And really, all of our tools are designed to serve as a complement to the town's existing financial system. So the town currently uses Munis, like most communities in the state of Connecticut, like most of our clients in Connecticut, like most of our clients across the country. We're not looking to replace anything involved with your existing financial system, but think of us as more a digitization and something to complement Munis. So we're really looking to digitize maybe some of the more manual aspects of the budget process, communication, project communication reporting. The three solutions that we've been talking with the town administration about include our capital budgeting software, which is a tool that can be used for both your timely ARPA planning purposes and communication, but more importantly, really eliminate a lot of the spreadsheets that are part of the ongoing capital improvement process. We also have solutions that are designed around communication specifically with the public. We have a software called the Digital Budget Book, which is designed to digitize and streamline the work that goes into building and communicating the town's budget document. We also have a transparency solution, which is really a dashboard tool to update residents and stakeholders internally around any kind of information related to your financial information, project information, as well as things like performance measures as well. So I'm going to go ahead and actually walk the council through a quick presentation here, and I'm happy to answer any questions at the end. I'll briefly show you the back office here of ClearGov. We are a cloud-based solution, so you can access our software both at Town Hall or remotely outside the office. In terms of our kind of back office tools around project planning, here's an example of what our capital budgeting software looks like. So imagine this is what the town manager's office, the finance team, maybe IT, working with the council to actually put together any kind of project planning that involves both your ongoing capital improvements as well as things like ARPA. You can leverage digital request forms to collect data from your different department heads or other stakeholders internally. And the type of information you can collect around projects, again, whether that be your normal capital improvement planning or things like ARPA, you can collect information like titles and departments, obviously, but descriptions, narratives, attachments. You can score projects according to your strategic initiatives and goals as a community or strategic plan. And of course, collecting whatever financial data is relevant for those projects, but really get a lot more granular in terms of how you're reviewing those projects as a council, as well as communicating that to the public, whether that be granular budgetary costs related to any kind of project and showing it over that multi-year horizon, showing projects on maps, showing project timelines. This is the type of information you can collect around any type of project in the short term or moving forward into the future. And then being able to collect that data, our software will then digitize in terms of a web-based presentation for both internal review as well as external communication purposes. That's an example of kind of the back office that are actually collecting the data in terms of how our software can be leveraged by the town for public-facing presentation purposes. I want to use a comparative. Here I have the town budget document. This is the FY23 adopted budget for the current fiscal year. A lot of our clients in Connecticut are using our solutions to really digitize the way financial information is presented. So I'm going to pull up another community example. This is the town of Whitbridge. This is their budget, their ClearGov product communication public their internally. You see compared to a 250-page static PDF document. This is a digital interactive budget, but on the opposite side, the department division perspective, their capital. And if you're curious what this document looks like, the town of Enfield, something like this.
You're breaking up a little, so I'm not quite sure what the issue might be.
Can you hear me okay, Rick?
Not a little better, but
Okay, I'll try my best. I'm not sure if that's on my end or that's just the internet connectivity here.
all right, that's better. Thank you.
So I got here the town of Enfield. This is an example of maybe what your budget document could look like. Again, going from that static PDF document to more that digital interactive document. So being able to show your operating budget data off Munis, present that document in a digital interactive experience with images, charts, graphs, and even video presentations. Here's an example of what your financial data could look like. Here's an example of a general fund page. Here we see summary overviews of budget and actual data historically, as well as compared to the current year. And you can just see the way our software presents your, in this case, the financial data around the operating budget. It's in a digital interactive experience for both stakeholders internally and for members of the public. We're looking at revenue sources here, broken down in an interactive format. So this type of presentation here, we're looking at just from the general fund, could be from really any aspect of your town's financials, could be presented in a much more comprehensive format, but also the workflow to create this document compared to maybe using things like Word and Excel and maybe accounting software reports. This actually would save time compared to the current process. From a department perspective, here's an example of maybe what one of your departments or divisions could look like in terms of the ongoing budget presentation. It's an example of the IT department, showing missions and descriptions, obviously the financial data in a very digestible and clean format. But really this type of tool could be used for adding a lot more context behind the budget documents. Obviously you can add your narrative like you're currently doing, but the budget at the end of the day represents goals and performance measures for what each agency within the town is looking to accomplish. So being able to show more granularity with the budget, not just financial details or employee related details, but things like performance measures. So using a digital document, certainly you could put data in text, whether that be typed out or in tables, but leveraging interactive charts or graphs really brings that data full circle and brings the budget document to life. And then in terms of more project-based communication, whether that be around the capital program or something like ARPA, our software, again, kind of bringing it full circle compared to what we looked at the beginning. Here's a presentation of what your multi-year capital plan could look like, whether that includes ARPA or not, funding broken down by department, by source, cost breakdowns, projects would be itemized by departments. Each project would get its own page from a communications perspective. That looks something like this, and then I'll end the presentation with another example here. So using our transparency solution, we just looked at kind of what a budget looks like. Now, as you're reporting on what's actually happening with your financials, this is an example of Locks. This is their kind of transparency site they use with ClearGov. It's more of like a dashboard to show ongoing updates. So here we can see like budget versus actuals for the given year, and I can kind of comb into here and view that more granularity. I can even allow a resident type in their property tax bill and get a better understanding of maybe where their tax dollars are going. But a lot of our clients are using this tool specifically for project updates. So you could imagine this being a tool used by the town manager's office to update the council on what's going on with ARPA. Here's an example of maybe what a dashboard around ARPA specifically would look like, with whatever narrative is trying to be communicated, using interactive data to bring that kind of analytics to life. And in terms of maybe from a resident's perspective, to bring it home, imagine showing a map of the town with all your relevant projects. You can imagine a map with all the projects across the town on here. When someone clicks on one of these, again, whether it be a stakeholder internally, a council member of the public, number one, making it easier to disseminate this information. Number two, checking the box on some of those ARPA reporting requirements. So an example of maybe an ARPA project, what that could look like with images, geographic location information, of course, what was projected to be spent, what's currently been spent, where the money's coming from, those expenses over time, project management, who's responsible for the project, the phases, the timelines, and in terms of making this around civic engagement, particularly around ARPA, residents, if you allowed in your site, you could invite residents in to leave comments that would be submitted privately, answered privately by town staff, and then you'd have the option of posting those publicly after the fact if that was a relevant conversation. And residents could even subscribe their email to get updates on the projects as well. So those are some of the tools we've been looking at with the administration. And I think, again, as Alan pointed out, these could be relevant tools in terms of the short term around ARPA, but also tools that could be leveraged for improving upon the ongoing annual budget process, both for operating and
Okay, thank you very much, Rob. Are there any questions? Okay, yep. Comment. Deputy Mayor Sakala.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob, for the presentation. I know when we discussed this in general government, it was kind of a cool concept. And not only, I mean, I'm excited about it because of the internal use, so like our employees and that we can use. But more so, that's really secondary to the fact that the residents would be able to go and really see exactly where their tax dollars are going, where we are in a timeline of a project, where we are with ARPA funds. So although it's really cool for internal use for the departments, I think it's going to be really a great way because of the form of government that we have and that we vote on the budget and the town, it doesn't go to referendum. It's a great way for the taxpayers to kind of see where we are. So I'm really excited about it and I appreciate your presentation, Rob.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Pisner.
I guess the only question I have is cost. How much does this software cost?
So that's what's currently in general government and finance, and there's different modules. But before we get to that point, the committee wanted everyone to get an idea if it was worth pursuing. And if that's the case, it'll stay in committee, and they will come forward with a proposal for you to review. This is an eligible ARPA fund item, so you could also pay it out of ARPA, so it wouldn't hit this year's bottom line budget or need to require a transfer or anything.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Nelson.
The liaisons like this, they're advising us?
Yeah, I'll just chime in.
Councilor
So
Santinello.
the cost was not outrageous from what we saw. I mean, we could spend as much or as little as we want to. It's piecemeal. The other thing, I think we all agreed that this was just a great tool to just sort of create a level of transparency and accessibility to people, even to us. It's a lot easier to use a tool like that than, when I look at the budgets, I'm going through this stack of paper, then the next stack of paper, and putting together my own reporting. It's just easier to have it there. And so I think, I think we all feel really good about this as a tool.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, just excuse me, hold on. Councilor Hopkins.
Thank you, Councilor Ludwig. So with this, I mean, I think the amount of transparency that can happen here is great. I think it's pretty intuitive. A lot of the plugins that were shown, I think most people would understand. And there's a level of granularity there that I think a lot of, town finance nerds that I speak to really would find that interesting. I was kind of curious. I don't know if the committee has talked a bit about what the onboarding would look like for town staff. Is this something that people would be happy to use? Is there any concern with that? I like it a lot personally, but I wouldn't want to force it on anybody. So,
Okay, thank you. Councilor Ludwig.
I don't want to speak for the town manager, but I think as the committee, we thought there was a couple spots we could start with. Again, as Grant, to kind of bring it up, not to just force this on everybody, but I think I'll let the manager talk what we spoke at as a committee. But yeah, I think two specific, the capital project and transparency was our focus, but it doesn't mean it hasn't changed since we met. But right, we're not trying to push the whole program on people. Let's start it, see how it works. And I think capital improvement is definitely one of the hardest things to read in any budget unless you're used to reading spreadsheets. So I think that's a great place to start. And of course, the transparency is what I think we all strive for. So that's what we talked about as a committee.
Okay, well, thank you. Rob, thank you for the presentation. I am definitely in favor of this this digital interactive document that you've presented to us in terms of being transparent to the residents, us as a council, to the staff, administration. I just think that it would be a plus for everybody. And I do like the idea of, starting off with a couple of different segments first, and then moving forward with this. Being a member of the CROG, I did see this presentation a few months back, and so I'm glad that we're moving forward as a town with this. So thank you very much for your presentation. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you, Rob. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, public communications. Any person wishing to speak in front of the council, please state your name and address for the record. 5 minutes the first round, 3 for the second, and welcome.
See if we can put it together. I think you talk loud enough. Red light on, right? Okay. Hi, I'm Pam Townsend, 54 Kimberly Drive, and this is Lori Gates, 3 Yale Court. As you know, Lori and I work together in support of Wreaths Across America's mission, Remember, Honor, and Teach. I work on the Remember and Honor part of the mission, and Lori works on the mission to teach our next generation. We do have some exciting news to announce, but before we make our announcement, we thought we would share with you our why. Why do we volunteer year after year in support of this mission? For me, it's all about the veterans and their families. I won't allow any personalities or politics to get in my way of my mission to remember and honor our veterans. We as a nation made a promise to our military and their families that we will never forget their sacrifices. I plan to keep that promise, so my why is to always remember and honor our veterans. And Wreaths Across America helps keep me focused on my why. Thank you, and now Lori will share her why.
So my passion for the Wreaths Across America program, my why, if you will, is centered heavily around the teaching portion of Wreaths. And while I'm here to assist Pam at the cemetery ceremony in whatever capacity she needs me in, nothing makes me happier than seeing the next generation pick up the torch of gratitude that we hand to them. In an era of social media where we use technology to communicate and oftentimes miscommunicate, I get to watch those aha moments when a history book suddenly becomes to life in a student's mind, or what was once a name heard in passing becomes a story about a life honorably lived. There's a quote by Benjamin Franklin that says, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." And this program makes the words like honor and sacrifice a tangible lesson that the next generation carries forward with them. I read that a saying, that children are the living messages we send to a future we will not see. And the message of honor and respect is a darn good one to send forward, I think. So it's with a grateful heart that I can announce that Enfield's been honored for a 7th year to host a portion of the Wreaths Across America convoy as they travel with their wreaths from Maine to Arlington National Cemetery on the morning of Wednesday, December the 14th. Details will be coming soon with the route and times, and I know our community will once again show our friends at Walmart Trucking exactly how well we promote the lesson of remember, honor, and teach. These visits are an incredible honor, and I know Enfield will once again band together and make us all proud.
So, for everyone here in the council chambers and in TV land, I invite you to the National Wreaths Across America ceremony on December 17th at 12 p.m. And I invite you all to stay to honor our veterans by placing a wreath on their grave. This is the first time in 15 years that we received enough sponsorship to honor every veteran in St. Patrick's Cemetery. And we need you, we need all of you to help place those wreaths. So I thank you, and I hope to see you on December 17th.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come in front of the council? Okay, I declare public communications closed. Councilor communications. Councilor Finger.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to apologize for my prayer. I had it on my phone to read off of, and my phone is not with me.
You did a good job.
Unlike somebody else's, I should have his phone with him. But in any case, I want to apologize for that because I couldn't remember exactly what I put down, but it was great. Through the mayor to the town manager, a few meetings ago, I asked about the benches for the walkway down Town Farm Road. about people donating them, if they could do it. If you have an answer for me, that'd be great. If not, maybe I'll get one soon.
Counselor, we have that matter in one of our committees too. Is it leisure or is it general government? Yes. So naming policies, bench donations, and memorial trees are all being considered with a pricing schedule and some best practices before we put that forward.
Great, thank you. Great, thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Yep, thank you. Councilor Mangini.
Thank you. I do want to thank the Veterans Council for the wonderful invitation to the Christmas party yesterday. It was wonderful. It's always an honor to celebrate with the veterans, and it was a great turnout, so I just wanted to say thank you for that. And I definitely will be there with 2 grandchildren for Wreaths Across America, and we'll do whatever you need us to do, Pam. Also, DAR, Daughters of American Revolution, we are having our ceremony this Wednesday. We're honoring the Teacher of the Year, American History Teacher of the Year, specifically Mr. Bill Delaney. And we're also honoring our good citizens, young people that have shown exemplary service. So Wednesday at 6:30 at our Central Library, we'll begin our festivities. It should be a great turnout, and it's a great honor, especially to have one of our own, Mr. Bill Delaney from JFK, who's an exemplary subject of history. He not only teaches the history to our students, but he puts his whole self into it. So we're very honored to have him as being chosen by his administration to be the representative for the American History Teacher Award. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Santinella.
Thank you. Last Saturday night, I had the pleasure of going to the Enfield Safe Grad auction, and I just want to congratulate the folks who put that wonderful event on, and to the council who donated a basket. Thank you, Councilor Pisner and Deputy Mayor Sakala, for doing that. I understand it was a great success, and they have raised enough money to provide students with a safe grad night at Sunny's Place, a graduation evening. I do have the total amount, but I'm not sure that that's to be disclosed, but it was a huge success. So congratulations to all of those folks. Last night, for those of you who were on Enfield Street, was the Torchlight Parade, and it was a spectacular event. So I just want to thank the fire districts for once again putting on a great evening. I know my family lives for this night, so thank you all very much, and the whole group that put effort into making that successful. Another successful thing that is going on, if you haven't had a chance on Sunday to go to the farmers market, which is now in the mall, and is in the old Macy's men's section. It is growing and growing, and the vendors that are there are growing in number, and the success has been spectacular for this. So there's 2 more weekends, so if you get a chance, please stop by. There's a lot of great Christmas shopping that can be done there, and just a good time. And finally, on the 15th of December, at the public library will be the Festival of Trees. People who are far more creative than me build these wonderful trees that are displayed in the children's section of the library. So if you have an opportunity that evening, please stop by. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Pisner.
Through the mayor to the town manager, I just had a question as far as where we're at with our grant writer. Have we received any grants under, I believe, her? I mean, have we applied for grants and gotten anything from her grant writing yet, or where are we at? That's all.
So we just executed the contract, and it's out of Hartford is the first one that's concentrating on human services. We actually had her included on our call today when we had our feedback meeting with the state for the Community Investment Fund grant, which we're going to be reapplying for, and she's helping us with tightening up some of the metrics for that. That was the large grant that we applied for, in the summer for small business assistance for businesses within extra incentive for Thompsonville and North Thompsonville, but it would have been available citywide. So we are reapplying for that. We actually just closed. We went out for additional grant writers because we had only received one response from her. And we went out again and received one response on Friday for someone who has more experience with infrastructure, public works, facilities types of grants, because there's so much money coming through with the infrastructure bill. So that person, brand new, just opened the sealed bid on Friday afternoon. They will go through the same process of having to be vetted and having a contract put together. So to answer your question directly, has she written a grant for us? No. Have we applied for any grants? No. But all of that now is in the review process, and right now she's still in an advisory role as we work through some of the grants that are already on our plate.
Okay, thank you. I have a couple of announcements that I'd like to make. First of all, this is in regard to the DEI committee. In order for us as a council to gain really more of a sense for ourselves for the strengths of the various applicants, we're going to be, who will be working together once this committee is selected. We're scheduling a meet and greet interviews. And the first one that we have scheduled is for December 12th. So that's going to help finalize our selections to this committee. And we are shooting for the date of our next council meeting for the 19th to hopefully have finalized up those selections. But we want to make sure that we're going to do it, and we're going to do it correctly and give everybody the equal opportunity to meet with us. The next thing that I just want to mention is, once again, we are still accepting applications for anybody that is interested in serving on the Public Safety Building Committee. Once again, you apply on our town website for interested candidates once that process starts, just to give us an idea if you're interested in being on this committee. Next, and I had mentioned this to the town manager, that next meeting for the 19th, I would like to invite our Enfield's Kid Mayor to be a special guest, who helped us last night light the tree at the town hall. And Tristan Corshane, congratulations to him. He really looked sharp last night in his blazer, and he was excited to get himself into school today to, tell all of his peers about the wonderful evening that he had last night. So we do want to invite him up for that. Next, and this is another item for our leisure committee. Our pickleballers have approached me about wanting another day at the annex. Now, right now, they're Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They're getting crowds of between 50 to 60 people. And that's, generates good income for us because they do get charged over at the annex to participate. And they would like another day for them to play. It's really very popular. And so I think maybe our committee can discuss that, or we can discuss that to see if they can get an additional day over there. Okay? And that would be from 9 to 12. Next, tomorrow night, let's not forget Enfield Together Coalition's hosting a community conversation that's dealing with fentanyl use in Enfield. They're going to be discussing the health, youth safety, data trends, along with the Enfield Police Department, and then they're going to have public health analysis and drug intelligence officers to help facilitate that conversation. And that's tomorrow, December 6th. And I believe it's at 6 o'clock, I believe. 5:30, I'm sorry, Ed is not there. 5:30, okay, yep. So, and also I just want to mention that on the 17th at Enfield High School is the Rachel's Challenge pancake breakfast.
18th.
Oh, they changed it to Sunday. Okay, all right.
It is,
Well,
so I think
Okay, so, all right, so they changed it to the 18th. All right, very good. Once again, that is at 8 to 10:30 at Enfield High School. And, yep, pancake breakfast and meet and greet Santa. And that's all that I have for tonight. Thank you. Okay, Councilor Nelson.
Again, I'd like to back up the mayor with the Enfield Together Coalition. People got to get involved because I truly believe that the heroin and the fentanyl crisis in our town is an epidemic. And we're losing people daily, and it's got to stop. And the only way it stops is if we all get involved and we make an effort to go forward. I know we as a council, we're unanimous about supporting our police officers and the police department trying to move forward. And here they're coming to try to get the public involved to help because it's going to take the entire town to slow this down. And I was watching a special about this because we all know it's pretty close to my heart, but they brought up something that I really never thought of, and that is, do all our schools have Narcan in them?
We had this conversation. I'm looking at Cindy. I don't know. I think the school nurses do. Yes.
Because that's something that I would like to know. And I believe they had said that one school, high school, actually had 14 deaths in 2 weeks. So it's something that we could save somebody's life. And it's not my child. It's anybody's child. Any adult can get involved in this, and it's not a pretty scene. And I support anything we can do to try to stop this. So I wanted to say that. And then next, along with Councilman Santinella, the farmer's market is a great thing. Are they still calling it a farmer's market, John, or a craft fair? Indoor market, okay, because, right, and that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to clarify is you may get a lot of great small Christmas gifts there for your family that are unique that you can't buy in a store. Handcrafted items and stuff like that. It's definitely worth checking out, and there are a ton of vendors. And then my last thing would be through the mayor to the town manager. Have we gotten anywhere or given to a committee discussions about turning the porta potties into handicapped accessible?
For out here?
For all our parks.
I think so.
I did have that conversation with Director of Public Works, Donald Nunes, and they're having a hard time just trying to get porta potties, period. Never mind handicap porta potties. So if we had a wish list, we would strive for that. But the availability is difficult, he said.
Well, I just think we should try. I mean, anybody who's in that situation, I can't imagine not being able to use a facility. And I mean, they were pretty passionate, and I agree. I just don't want to let it slip by.
I think one of the vendors left or is out of the business, so we're now limited on the people that we can even choose from.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's all I
Okay,
have.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Town manager report.
Okay. Good evening. I just had a few quick things to bring everyone up to date on. I already kind of mentioned the Community Investment Fund grant focus that we're doing. The South River Bridge project has now been staged, and the Cogtella House is in the process of being demolished, so that project is underway. We launched the ARPA nonprofit grant program last week. That grant is open until December 23rd. So all of you who are liaisons to or are working with nonprofits, please make sure that they see the link on our website, or you can send it to them directly. There is an opportunity for any nonprofit or not-for-profit to apply with a fillable form. They can print it and do it hard copy, or they can apply right online. So that one is open until December 23rd. The Small Business Program grant review is in process by the Economic Development Commission. They're meeting next week, and those recommendations will be coming back to you, the Town Council, probably at your next meeting or the meeting thereafter, in order to make decisions on how that funding is allocated. I'm in touch every other week or so with Representative Arnone about our bond commission item, and he did communicate with me today that there are no bond commission meetings scheduled for December. So in terms of the public safety complex, as we move that project forward, we'll be looking at a January bond commission date. And we also had a question from someone about open space and farmland. And I did go back and look at that and talk with John Wilcox. And we do have a $58,000 fund that's a line item for Farmland Preservation Fund. So I've asked the chair of the Agricultural Commission to look at the open space list that they've created and to see if we can move that to more of a center spot in terms of our plan of conservation and development and looking at parcels that might be ripe for investment from the town in order to preserve some of those. We have a couple of meetings coming up. General Government and Finance needs to meet in the next couple of weeks to deal with the ClearGov, to deal with parking fines and a few of other smaller issues. We are trying to find a date for joint security, which would be an executive session about the school security report that has been compiled. No dates have worked for the key individuals, but we're going to endeavor to find one. And we also have a Public Works Subcommittee meeting on Thursday at 5 o'clock. We are going to be looking at several issues there as well, and including I'm going to be bringing back some suggested revisions to the facility use policy again. Public Safety, I think, is going to be meeting in order to take up the referral that happened at the last council meeting, and we're hoping to do that in mid-December as well. And that's it for tonight. And
Okay.
we do have one
All right.
other item from the Assistant Town Manager.
I just wanted to make everyone aware that the town manager's office hired a public information officer. You may have met her either at the Years of Service brunch or even last night at the Torchlight ceremony where she read the poem. Her name is Stephanie McGillivray. I met her when she was serving on, and she continues to serve on the Enfield Cultural Arts Commission. I was impressed with her, her business acumen regarding latest technology and promoting businesses and whatnot. And I thought, you know what, maybe she would want to work here as a public information officer. I brought her in the office, I introduced her to Ellen to see if we had a good fit, and I guess she liked what she saw, and we both liked what we were able to offer each other. And she's already lives in town. I think her father's the president of the American Legion. So she's already embedded in the community in many facets, which we liked. And she's absorbing information like a sponge. We have her on board for the traffic impact study, working with the South River Bridge project. She'll be doing snow reports as far as parking bans and things like that. We want her to meet with the Public Works and the police department, maybe do ride-alongs, but really know the nuance of every department that affects the residents and really show them what we do. So we're excited. We're slowly ramping her up as we're getting her computer up to date with the technology she needs and getting her to meet people. So stay tuned. You probably won't see herself, but you'll see her work product. And that's what we're striving for.
All right, great.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you very much. Okay, question, go ahead.
Is that a new position we created?
No.
No.
This, as you may know, we've been working very lean since Ellen came on board. We used to have 4 people in that office. So the PIO position was created in the prior administration. So she has that assigned responsibility, and she's working part-time on one of the full-time positions that we had. She's only part-time now. So we're under budget, and it's no new position.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would love to see our new hire maybe get involved in advertising some of the parades in town. I know we have had some really great volunteer work on getting the word out and supporting those, but I think that would be just bread and butter if that isn't already done. She's maybe already thinking about that, but just my 2 cents. Thank you.
We do have her working on a calendar. Like, for example, yesterday, the community chorus, I think, had their concert the same day as the Torchlight Parade. We're trying to look to avoid some of those conflicts in order to better leverage all of the events from a community standpoint. She's also working on the reinventing of what we're going to be doing with the farmers market for next year and a few other things. With the addition of the gazebo. We'd like to introduce a summer concert series in conjunction with the Culture and Arts Commission and a few other groups that are interested. So it's really a very wide open path in terms of what that position could be, but we are trying to position it so that it's an enhancement to the quality of life in Enfield and that people are aware of what we offer.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next, report of special committees. Are there any reports from anyone? Councilor Ludwig?
If you don't, through the mayor or the manager or through the committee. Curious on what happened with the aggressive dogs. Did it get brought up in the public safety? If so, if there is any next steps? Just curious. Thank you.
It is being discussed. There is an entire, I think it's chapter 12 of our ordinance, so the police department is looking at it. They're conferring with the ACO to see if there's any changes that are being recommended, and we're asking the town attorney's office to also review it to see if there'd been any changes to the state law that we should also fold in to improve and strengthen that ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other reports? Okay, seeing none. Okay, next, 11 unfinished business. We're going to move on to 12 new business consent agenda. The discussion resolution request for a transfer of funds from the Office of Early Childhood, the Sparkler Grant awarded to the Family Resource Center. So first of all, are there any issues with item 1? If not, all in favor of the consent agenda, item 1, raise your hands, yay. And it looks like that is unanimous, 9-0.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, did we get someone that motion in a second?
Yeah, that's what I was starting. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, motion to second, Councilor Nelson, and a second by Councilor Mangini. Okay, thank you. Okay.
No, that's okay.
Okay. All right. Appointments, the Enfield Beautification Committee.
I'd like to
The Enfield Beautification Committee, the term of office of Carolyn Surdell expires on 12/1/2022. Reappointment would be until 12/1/2025. Is there a motion to reappoint?
So moved.
Councilor Nelson, and a second, Councilor Mangini. All in favor? It looks like it's unanimous, 9-0. Item C, discussion resolution. Request for acceptance of a grant of $23,000 from the Connecticut Department of Children and Families for the Juvenile Review Board and the creation of a new Juvenile Review Board caseworker job description. Be it resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfer is hereby made from Child, Youth, and Family Juvenile Reward Board grant of $23,000 to the Child, Youth, and Family Juvenile Review Board grant. Part-time salaries, $19,500. Social Security, $1,209. Medicare, $283. The tuition and other, $1,000. And other supplies and materials, $1,008. Date prepared December 5th, 2022, prepared by Cindy Guerrieri, Director of Social Services.
So moved.
Councilor Mangini.
Second.
And a second by Councilor Hopkins. Any discussion on here? Councilor Pisner.
Okay, so this is a grant-funded position. It's not going to be a new position. Okay, Cindy's coming.
Welcome, Cindy. Cindy, if you could answer these questions for us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cindy Guerrieri, Director of Social Services, Town of Enfield. It is a new grant that was awarded to Enfield because it could be considered a good thing. We have a robust juvenile review board. Enfield was the first in the state, and it lands and lives underneath the auspices of the police department in coordination and collaboration with social services. We get a grant from the Department of Children and Families as a youth service bureau, and the Juvenile Review Board funding is going to be coming through that stream. Because we have such a significant amount of cases that are heard and diverted from the system, we are getting this additional $23,000, which is the first time we're getting any funds for Juvenile Review Board.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I want to add one point that this employee would be coterminous with the grant. So when the grant is gone, the employee is gone.
Correct.
That's what I was trying to make sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Ludwig?
Welcome, Cindy. Curious, just what is currently is the board doing? So does it fit in with our youth council? Just curious, what are they reviewing? Is it
The
legal
juvenile-
cases?
yes.
Would you mind giving,
Juvenile Review Board reviews arrests of juvenile
within Enfield?
within Enfield as a diversion practice from the court system.
So instead of sending them, if the Enfield court was open or now the Hartford, we actually go and generally probation, education, what is generally?
Again, the focus is on
Yes,
restorative justice and diversion, and so working with understanding what are the needs of the youth and their family that will help them get on the right path.
So the key is basically not send them to court and
Right.
where they could fall in with, whatever the court system, mess that it is. And
Yeah.
so the goal is to hopefully right the ship while you can, right?
Correct.
Right.
And so the Juvenile Review Board members are appointed by Chief Fox, and they are representative of the schools,
Right.
social services, youth center, CHR.
Great explanation. Thank
community.
you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Mangini, then Councilor Hopkins.
Just quickly, thank you, Cindy. Appreciate your time and your dedication. Any tools that we can offer you, I think most definitely we should. But this particular program is more than needed, and to implement this is going to be dynamic. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilor Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For folks in the community that don't know much about juvenile review boards, they're a really important structure. The court system relies on them. Just as an example, if you have a kid who, let's say, steals a CD from Walmart, that somebody might make the decision to divert that and understand why that kid might be doing that. Is this a repeat thing? Is there something going on at home? Is there not money for Christmas presents? There's a lot of flexibility with that, but that also comes with a lot of work and attention that goes into crafting those comprehensive solutions and working with a kid. And I'm really happy to see that there's some money for this. The state really should do more to fund these and standardize these because they're used across the state. But oftentimes it's really reliant on your volunteer base. And God bless anybody who volunteers for this. It's a tough job. I could just speak for myself. I work with kids in juvenile delinquency cases. It's a tough thing. There's never a happy day. Sometimes there's some really incredible progress that's made, and kids work through this kind of stuff. But I'm really happy to see this, and I hope this funding stream continues.
Yeah. Cindy, thank you very much. I am really happy that this grant and that, this is a well-needed part-time position for somebody to help with this juvenile review board, to actually review the cases, get the board on top of, the happenings that are happening with these troubled youths that, and I know that the board really does a great job in tracking and helping these students that do get in trouble. But, Councilor Nelson.
Just a quick question. Who determines whether the youth goes to court or goes to the juvenile review board?
Chief of Police.
So when, say, Walmart has him arrested for stealing a CD, he can legally basically drop the charges and send him.
It's not about dropping charges, and I do want to
Right,
preface,
that's why I wanna-
definitely don't know his arena as well as mine. But it's not about dropping the charges. It's, again, around diversion through the Juvenile Review Board. And then we've already been doing all the assessment and follow-up. This additional position helps alleviate the burden on our youth social worker. So the responsibility will include all the follow-up, and if the person doesn't complete the agreed upon plan, then it goes back, and then the chief of police can determine what next.
Okay, now does the vendor have to agree to allow this to be the repercussion versus actually going to court? So say he stole a CD from Walmart. Does Walmart have to say, okay, you can try this approach?
To my knowledge, no, but I would definitely want to have Chief Fox answer that question.
That'd be a question
I
for
don't
him, 'cause
believe
that's a
that
pretty
they
strong
have
thing to
to
drop more or less drop charges against
If
somebody.
they don't drop the charges, I can assure you that they don't drop charges.
Right. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, this board does what's right for the.
No,
for the
it's a
student. Yeah.
great absolutely, it's a great program, second chance, like
Right.
Scared Straight. I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it, yeah.
Okay, Counselor Hopkins?
Sorry, just you really hooked me on this topic. I would love to, I would love to if there's ever time to hear more about our local juvenile review board, and also volunteers are always needed. Maybe having a presentation and people seeing this. People, folks can come to the juvenile review board from a couple different areas. A case can actually go in front of the judge, and through a couple different mechanisms can come back to the juvenile review board, either through some kind of good negotiation, or if the probation department there determines that a kid's needs, are better met that way rather than just through the normal system. But this way, it's a little more creative, but requires volunteers and work, and thankfully there's some money to go into that, because it is really important. The court system is overburdened, maybe a bit of a mess, but taking the time to understand what's going on can be really transformative for a kid.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Hopkins. Okay, thank you. Greatly appreciate it. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Roll call.
Counselor Finger,
Yes.
Counselor Hopkins,
4.
Counselor Ludwig,
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Nelson. 4. Counselor Pisner. 4. Counselor Santinella.
4.
Deputy Mayor Sakala.
4.
Mayor Crisati.
4.
9 in favor, none against, no abstentions.
Items D and E will remain on the table. And then we will go to any other public communications? Any other public communications? We are good. Counselor communications?
Just one real quick.
Go ahead.
Ellen, through the mayor to the town manager. Blight started to get pretty active, and we were looking for a meeting with like the top 10 people and stuff like that. I was wondering if we've gotten anywhere, and can we get that meeting scheduled?
There's been some discussion about the list because there's actually been some new properties that we'd like to add. It seems it's a ever-growing thing. So I was not here last week, so I'm going to review the draft list, and then we'll get it out and schedule the next meeting.
Okay. And then can we get the top 100 delinquent tax properties, maybe a list sent out to the council? I know there's certain properties in town that are 6 and 7 years behind on taxes. And I've been out of it for a while. I want to know what our approach is on trying to recoup this money. I know Councilman Ludwig had told me that they did some.
Mm-hmm.
I just know some, for some reason, haven't been collected.
Well, the assessor tax collector has actually been doing a very assertive way of looking at that list, and we just sent, I think, a few dozen to tax sale. So that's wending its way through the process. And then there's been a lot of tightening up from a procedural standpoint from that office in order to avoid the problems of the past where things would really languish. So I can get you an update on where we stand with all of that for as of the last grand list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And that can be just me. I mean, unless other counselors want to know. I'm just trying to get up to speed.
Sure. I know that Mr. Helms also was very successful at the beginning of the summer using a marshal where we had a very excessive tax bill at one of our manufacturing companies. And so there's been a lot of different opportunities and tools that are being used.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Counselor Nelson and Counselor Mangini. Excuse me. You had a question? I didn't see your hand up.
I'm just wondering, as a point of order, did we need to have a motion to take items D and E and put them on the table, or?
No.
We don't?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Yep. Okay, all in favor? Unanimous? Okay. Well, thank you.